Hello, beautiful people. Danyelle here from Transcendence to the Truth. I am your energetic healer. I'm an Access Bars facilitator and practitioner, a men's mentor and coach, and an intuitive. And I would like to talk to you today about rejection. Basically, this was a requested video. I actually haven't ever spoken about rejection. I'm going to wait for a couple of people to jump on. I do know it's a Sunday. I've just been spending time sunbaking actually myself and just chilling and relaxing and doing Sunday cleaning, all ready to head up to Cairns tomorrow. So basically rejection is, well, we all know what rejection feels like. A sting. It's a pretty nasty sting to the heart, and it puts us into a feeling of not being good enough, basically. But one of the most amazing things that I learned in the beginning of my journey was don't take it personally. And I was like, how do you not take it personally? How can you not take rejection personally? And that took a while for me to really understand, but when it was explained, I was like, hang on, that actually makes a lot of sense, like so much sense. Why would I take that personally? So I'm sure we've all gone through rejection throughout our life many times. You can feel rejected with simply somebody saying they're too busy to catch up. You can feel rejected because of different experiences through your childhood. You can feel rejected if you don't get the job promotion or you don't get the job. You can feel rejected if you don't make the football team. There's many different experiences that we can go through rejection. For me, I actually remember one of my first moments of rejection, and looking back as an adult, you kind of look back and you're like, why were you so hurt? But I was so hurt and so upset about this that I started to change my personality to fit in. So I was only in like grade 1 or grade 2, and I was one of those flamboyant kids that wore rainbow colored tutus and like a flower crown or fairy wings to school, like that kind of like probably over eccentric. And back in the 80s when people were wearing button-up tracksuit pants and different things like that, it was too much, I guess. It didn't fit in with the fashion trends at the time. And I remember these two little girls that were only one was the same age and one was a couple of years older, and I was wearing pink, and they made fun of me for wearing pink, right? They like teased me and said that I was all girly and said all these like really, like you look at it now and you're like, well, pink, like it wasn't a big deal, but for me it broke my heart because I felt not good enough. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like an outsider. So I actually hated the color pink for about 15 years after that. I despised it and I didn't like anything pink, so it definitely left a wound there. But what happened after that was I started to want to dress like everyone else. I didn't want to have my hair in pretty plaits and pigtails. I just wanted to fit in with everyone else. And that went on for years upon years. I changed my voice. I would laugh in a certain way because I didn't feel that I was good enough with just being who I am. So what that is, when you feel that level of rejection, you go into unworthiness feelings. So it could be you ask somebody on a date. So a lot of people, all right, people don't handle rejection of someone they're romantically interested in very well. But like my story, if you look at it, a lot of the time when somebody rejects you and says, oh, you're just not my type, or I don't know if people actually say stuff like this, but I only date guys that work out at the gym and have tattoos. It's probably possible, but that was all that could pop into my mind, right? That is not a reflection of you. It's actually about them, right? So it's a projection of that person. So rejection is a projection from the other person of what they're deflecting and putting back onto you as to why, usually from their own insecurities, their own uncomfortability, their own belief systems, whatever it is about them. Lots of people, unfortunately, have to be nasty or unkind in certain ways to get their own level of superiority and fulfillment. So that's one area, is that, you know, rejection is actually a projection. It's their stuff all the time, almost always. You know, if you've got a friend that, say, cancels on you last minute because, you know, they were meant to come out with you and then they can't suddenly, and you're all in that rejection of I'm not good enough, and then maybe you see them out or you see something on social media and you go into the assumption that you're not a good enough friend and they're with other friends. There's many different things when we step back out of our own rejection, our own hurt, that could explain these different situations. So, you know, for instance, it could have, well, if you didn't even know what the problem was, maybe they overcommitted. Maybe they had committed to 2 things at once. Maybe it was a family situation. Maybe they felt pressured and hassled to actually have to go and do that and didn't have enough of their own self-worth to say, I've got plans with somebody else. There's many, many, many different explanations as to why people do what they do, which is why it's never about you. It's always about them. So when you look at it and you go, hang on, I'm just I'm the convenient target sometimes for somebody to either express or put their projections of their own stuff onto, or there's a lot of underlying stuff underneath. You know, I've had dates, I've been no-showed to dates and ignored and ghosted and stuff, and even though I've had this information and this knowing, I've still gone into that little bit of hurt of like not being good enough for somebody. But when I've sat with it and I'm like, hang on, this isn't about me. Like, what's going on about this person? I can usually figure it out because of my intuition. But also, it can usually play out. A lot of people, sometimes you'll find out afterwards. It could be that person has social anxiety. They don't feel good enough to be in your presence. So that's something that happens to me a lot. You know, it could be that they've gone into judgment because they wanted to buy you dinner and maybe their funds from work haven't come through. You know, there's a lot of different explanations as to why these different situations take place. And to go into the assumption of I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm going to change myself because this keeps happening, is an inaccurate truth, because it's not the truth. You are worthy, and by changing yourself, you're putting a mask and you're creating an inauthentic person. So what if you use those things to actually inspire you to love yourself more, to do things that encourage you to learn, to understand, you know, different things like your purpose and your meaning and what you want to create in the world, so that when somebody does give you rejection, you don't go into the instant thought of, I'm not good enough, I'm not a good person, or I've got nothing to offer, because you're working on offering and improving and creating a life that you love living, regardless of if anyone decides to come and join it or not. The other side of this coin is if you can't get to the point of accepting that, you know, it's just, it's actually about the other person and it's a projection, you could have a look and go, hang on, actually, is this hurt about me? Hand on my nose. What about this? What about me am I not getting, right? So it can mean that if you're upset by something somebody said, maybe there's truth in it. Maybe somebody said something and it's hurt you, and maybe someone's called you selfish, or maybe someone's called you insensitive was the word I was looking for. And and you've taken that to heart, but you're like, I'm not, and get real hurt about it. But what if you actually looked at it with an openness of, yeah, maybe there are times that I don't think about how my actions can affect other people. Maybe there are times that I get a bit self-centered and I would like to think about my family more. You know, this is a way to gain awareness, gain consciousness, become a better human being, and become a better person showing up in the world, is to look at, all right, if that did trigger me, what about it is true, and how can I use it to grow and change and be more of my authentic self, or take away the beliefs that are making me behave in that way. Is the belief there that I'm not worthy, so I'm too busy always trying to get validation, and I'm so self-focused to get validation that I forget about everyone that I love around me that is there for me. And then there is the lovely fact that the universe will put rejection in your path because it has a better plan for you. That one is probably the hardest one to swallow for a lot of people, especially if you've been rejected from like a lifelong dream, or you've had an injury, and you know, maybe you had totally believed that you met your soulmate or something, and you have so much hopes and dreams around this, and you've almost put your entire identity on a life path and that position or that outcome, and you've been rejected from it, and you can go into a lot of self-judgment of not being good enough, and you can fight it, and you can self-destruct in a lot of ways to try and get to a point of fighting for whatever that was, to the point that you give yourself up and you hurt yourself, rather than coming to a space of allowance and acceptance that sometimes things are not meant for you. Sometimes people, places, situations are not a part of your path. And the more that you can trust in the universe, and the more that you can trust in the plan of your life, the more that you'll understand that sometimes things don't work out because there are greater things ahead. There are more magical things that would fit you more successfully, more that will help you learn more, that will help you grow more, that would help you experience more. So coming to allowance of some of the disappointments rather than seeing them as a rejection or a failure, see it as a learning tool, can help you see a whole new perspective on rejection. All right, I love you all. Have a beautiful Sunday. Oh, remember to like, love, and heart my videos. Follow first. If you enjoy my content, please tag anyone who you may think would get value from this, and any comments below. Mwah. Love you.